Morning. I've got a little bit of a busy day today. That pile of cardboard that has been accumulating for a while, I want to get that burned this morning while the wind is low. And then number two, I'm going to pull the planters out. I hooked them up last Friday, and that's all I did was hook them up. I haven't gone through them yet, but I did open a few of the row units here and saw mouse poop in there. So that tells me mice have gotten in the system, and chances are they're inside this tube and inside this tube, and I need to basically open it up, turn the system on, turn the vacs on, the blowers on, and just blow it all clean, because I'll explain all that later, but it gets to be a huge problem if any of those seed tubes are plugged on this particular planter, or this style planter, I should say. But at any rate, and I also want to go look at some fields over the weekend. Most of you know we got a lot of precipitation, and everything has flooded. Like rivers, creeks, lakes are high, rivers, I mean, everything's overflowing. Basement's flooded. There's a lot of flooding going on, and we had a tree knocked down over the weekend that kind of went across one of our gates to one of our field approaches. I need to go assess damages, basically. But first things first, we're gonna play with fire. Fire. You remember that big pile of boxes in the last clip? This is it. Only thing that's left. I gotta remember how to unfold these things. Ooh, that's pulling on that wire too much. Hang on, I gotta adjust some stuff. All right. Wing wheels we want down like that. Lower that hitch a little more. Let the wings go down. Looks like I got some low tires on the planter. That's not uncommon. Okay. Now we want to do fold. Oh yeah. I remember how to do this now. There's like a bunch of feathers or something blowing out of it. Let's get out and look at it. It took me a minute, but I figured out how to flow. Test canceled. I'm trying to figure out how my liquid, there's a way you can turn your liquid fertilizer on without running the machine, and I know how to do it, I just couldn't remember how to do it. Does that make sense? So that's what I was doing right now. And now I'm going to shut everything down, and we're going to go out there and see if liquid came out of every corn row. I don't run liquid in the bean rows, just the corn rows. And it looks like I have liquid out of some of them. that one. Look at that. I got liquid out of every one of them. So that means I winterized it properly and no hoses are broken. Or I just got lucky. One of the two. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check all the gauge wheels, closing wheels, disc openers, check them all. And I got a marker here so I can mark the ones that are bad that need to be changed. And kind of go from there. So I'm going to set you guys down while I change or check all 34 rows or 32 rows and mark them. So I've got 5 closing wheels that need to be changed. These are closing wheels. See how that one spins? Look at this one. So that bearing is bad. And then some of them will still spin, but they're wobbly. So the bearing's bad. So there's 5 of them. Typically, most of your closing wheels are going to go bad on this planter on the front row up there, because that front row goes over all of our acres and the back rows only go over our soybean acres. Does that make sense? When you're planting corn, you're only planting corn on the front rows and the back rows are out of the ground. When I switch the planter over to soybeans, all the rows are in the ground planting. So typically your front rows get more acres put on them than the back rows. Actually, the planter's in pretty good shape. I mean, other than the 5 closing wheels and needing to put a little air in the tires, everything seems to be working fine. So I'm pleased with that. I'm very pleased with that, because we don't have a whole lot of extra money to dump in the planters to get them up and going. So this makes me really happy. I figure while I was pulling it in the barn, I might as well stop at the gas station and fill it up, because I'm gonna need the fuel. That wasn't so bad. Only took 129 gallons, but I was at about 3/8 of a tank anyway. All right, I'm gonna go upstairs on the loft and see, because I know I have a few of these closing wheels. If I only have 1 or 2 up there, I'm just gonna leave them and order 5 new ones. But if I've got like 6 up there, then I only gotta order like a couple. I always like to have a couple on spare, especially when we're coming into planting season, because if I have one go out on me while I'm planting, it's a quick, easy fix and I don't have to wait for parts. While I had the tractor out, I also switched the computer over to planting corn. There's a lot of settings in the computer part when you switch from corn to soybeans. The last thing I planted with this was soybeans, so everything was set up for soys. But now it's set up for corn. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have exactly 5 of them. So that's fine. I'll order like 3. And that way I'll have 3 extras. I have disc openers. The only thing I don't have, I even have new seed tubes. Well, they're used seed tubes that I replaced last year, but I have spares. I don't see any gauge wheels. Yes, there's 1 gauge wheel. So I've got 1 gauge wheel, 5 disc closers, and 4 disc openers. So basically all I gotta do is just order a couple of these bad boys and we'll be good to go. I like this. I am, however, going to wait on ordering this stuff. After I get done driving around the fields, I'm going to come back and I'm actually going to grease this thing, because there's a gajillion grease certs on this thing. So I'd be basically putting my eyes on like every inch of this thing, just double checking to make sure there's nothing else that's wrong with it. That way when I order parts, it like all comes in at once and I'm not waiting. Definitely going to take a couple days for that to dry up. Holy crap, that's a lot of water. Oh look, we got water over the road. Gotta love diesel. No spark plugs to get wet. And the funny thing is, this is like 3 days, maybe 4 days after we got all the rain. So it's like water has gone down a lot. Yeah. I will say, on the plus side, we've been wanting to take this tree down, just because I wanted to clean this up a little bit right here to give us more room to pull in with the tractors, but that's not how I wanted it to come down. And I was told that there's like 8 trees down on this property that we need to get cleaned up. I don't know if that's one of them, or there's 8 and that makes 9. This big field here is, we're going to put corn into this field this year. So this one's really got to dry up a lot in the next few weeks. And we've got a lot of rocks to pick in this field, and we actually have a lot of trees that need to be trimmed back. Because if you see, you can see where I planted last year. See them bushes? All these bushes here have to get pushed back. So we're going to be spending quite a few days in a lot of these fields out here, just cleaning up the fence rows and pushing back the brush that has overgrown into the fields, and just doing some cleanup. They got the main road up here closed because water going over the road. So that turns this side road into the main traffic to go around the road closure because of the water. It's not the first time that happens, but it turns this into a highway. And typically there's not a lot of cars on this road, and now it's like car after car after car after car. So that beats the road up even more now. It's all greased. Tire pressures are checked and adjusted as needed. And I looked at the clock and it's like 1 o'clock right now. So I believe I'm going to just take the rest of the day, and I'm going to put in the corn plates, the knocker wheels, the brushes, basically get this whole thing ready for planting corn. I'm going to take the 5 closing wheels I have, replace them. That way this thing is done. I more and more got thinking about it. I might as well do it while I got it out, and then tomorrow when the weather's a little better, a little warmer out, I'll grease the disc, unhook it, hook up to the field cultivator and drag that out, and kind of go that route. I think that's what I'm going to do. Because the rest of that stuff I have to do outside. This I can do in the barn here. what you have to do to set this up for corn is you got corn plates, you got knocker wheels, and then you have brushes. There's corn brushes, there's bean brushes, so on and so forth. So on this is going to be a corn row unit. So I would change this brush right here. That's a soybean brush. I would put a corn brush on there, put the corn plate on here, and then I have to change this thing right here. And this knocker wheel goes in place of that. I have to do that on 16 rows. And then on the other 16 rows, I have plugs for the blower and vac. So there'll be a plug that goes here and a plug that goes here, and that prevents any seed going and filling these row units that is unnecessary. And then for soybeans, I change the knocker wheels again, the plates, the brushes, and take the plugs out, and then that way they're all running for soybeans. And what I've done is I have numbered my rows. Every row has a number on it. So then I match up. That's row number 32 I'm doing first. So this is corn plate, row 32. I know this plate has always ran in this row unit every time. And the reason I do that is because the seals and everything, the plates have a wear on them. See the groove? Every row wears a little differently. So if you put the same plate in the same row unit every single year, then it operates like it should, rather than putting this plate in another row up there and having it leak air or vacuum around where it's not supposed to. Does it make sense? To give you guys a quick tutorial on how this planter works, I'll do a whole video on this, but you put seed in there. Liquid fertilizer goes in that tank for corn, and we only run liquid fertilizer on corn only. But as far as the seed, you fill those up with seed. This thing right here is a blower. It goes into this thing, which blows through all these tubes, which go to a row unit. It blows seed through those tubes, and it fills up this box right here with seed. As this seed is full in here, it drops down into this system here where the plate is. This hose is a vacuum hose, which creates vacuum, and it sucks the seed to the plate itself. Hang on a minute. We're going to walk over here real quick. So as this plate is inside of there, okay, it's in just like that. The seed gets sucked into each one of these little holes by the vacuum, okay? As this thing turns in the field, this thing's always spinning. So you've got seed stuck in right here, all the way around. And then as it goes around, it hits the knocker wheel. The knocker wheel goes through those holes, and it just puts a little poke right through the hole, and it knocks the seed off, and it drops down the seed tube into here, and it is planted. It's kind of how the planter works in a nutshell. It really is a good system, a good planting system. I love the way this planter works. Problem is, you get any little dirt or debris up in those tanks, and you could plug a hose. As soon as you plug a hose, it sets an alert off in the cab, and it tells me what row is plugged. So then I got to come out here, and I got to shake and wiggle hoses, and sometimes I have to pull these things right here, pull them off and stick something up in here because there might be plugged there. I mean, it's when it works great. When it doesn't work, it's very agitating. There, that row is done. All right, I just closed up the barn. I think I'm gonna call it a day. It's almost like 5:30 now. But I have all the corn plates are in, brushes, knocker wheels. I only changed the closing wheels that I needed to for corn for right now. I got the plugs on the back row unit here. The row units that are up in the air, I haven't done those yet. So tomorrow morning I'm gonna back this out, unfold it, put those plugs in, and then planter's ready to go. My camera shut off on me, said low battery. But at any rate, planter is pretty much ready to go. I have about half hour's worth of work and it's ready. Tomorrow I'm going to run the grease gun over the disc, unhook the disc, hook up to the field cultivator, hook up the field cultivator to the packer, and get those pulled out and check tire pressures, run the grease gun over that. And I'm at a standstill then at that point until Mother Nature allows us to start working ground. So, all right, I'm gonna end the video here. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.